I was constantly on the go. The factories were all over the world. And I was dealing with China, and I was on a flight, and I was in a factory for 3 months, or I'd be back. It was a constant roller coaster. I don't think anything is a mistake in life. Everything is a learning.
And a journey,
but definitely not a mistake. It's just part of the game. Your personal life is trial and error.
I have a problem in the company with a lot of employers, and the other friend said that, man, you don't have problems. Go in a hospital and you will have only one problem.
You still have to learn every part of your business. You make your weakness into your strength.
Welcome to Code Behind Success. This is not a traditional interview. This is a 6-code decode. In every episode, we take one guest through 6 stages: the beginning, the pressure, the mistakes, the money, the advice, and the final success code. For everyone watching, I'm Golhar. It's a global speaker, business mentor, media voice, and founder of Abstract PR. Across more than 2 decades, she has worked through over 15 industries, built brands, businesses, and people, and impacted more than 500,000 lives worldwide. From starting her own global knitwear manufacturing business at just 22 years old, to working with names like Harrods, Topshop, Burberry, and ASOS, to speaking on global stages and appearing across major media platforms, M's journey is full of lessons, pressure, reinvention, and success. And we are here to decode the real story behind her success. Hi Em, how are you?
Hi Adrian, thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Welcome to Code Behind Success.
Thank you so much for having me on here.
This is our first episode, and we are really happy to have you here for our beginning. So, I told you this is decoding behind the creative vision, media power, brand image, and reputation. Let's go with the first code. What do you think? Are you ready to start?
Absolutely.
Amazing. The first one is the beginning code.
Okay.
Where your story really started, before the titles, before the media and the public recognition. So before people knew you as a media voice and creative entrepreneur, where did your story really begin?
I am just a little girl who grew up in West London, and I understood the values of hard work, and I guess having a vision beyond just the norm. It wasn't what I grew up with. It was wanting more, seeing more, and anything is possible.
Amazing. I understand that at just 22 years old, you were supplying manufacturing supplies for Harrods, for Burberry, right?
I had started my first business at 22, yes. Official 22-year-old, yeah. It wasn't planned. Nothing was ever planned in my life where I was like, I'm gonna just start a business at 22 years old. It was not like that. I went to art school, and before going to university and so on, I was always selling things or getting things cheaper and then selling them on and making an extra profit and all of that kind of stuff. So that was always there from a really young age. I had my first sales job at the age of 16, at a mobile phone shop. And that is where I really learned sales, people, communication. And that is it, And just going back to your question, I had my first mentor after I graduated, and his name was John Michael Ingram. He dressed the Beatles. He, had the first fashion publication in the world. Amazing, amazing man. And I am honored to have, had worked with him on a 1-to-1 level for a year and a half. And, obviously he was a lot elderly, and I then had friends from university that was starting brands, and they were like, hey, how do we get a sample? How do we, get this in 10 units or 100 units? How do we then sell into department stores? And, having worked with John and also having his guidance, that was then running on the side. And that unintentionally became a business. It was not planned. I had not planned that for my life.
But what should people understand from that lesson? Do you think that everyone needs a mentor in the beginning of the journey?
I think everyone you come across in your life is your mentor. My
Yeah.
father is my mentor. My grandfather was my mentor. You know, you learn and you look back at the way seeds were planted in your head.
Yeah.
You know, I was probably, I don't even know, like 13, 14 when I was writing, not even, probably even younger than that. Sorry. I'm thinking typewriters. My mum used to have a typewriter and do my dad's invoices or statutory notes like for his business. And I would be, oh, I want to type because I thought it was cool. But actually, when you look back, these are the seeds that are planted
Yeah. Yeah.
already in your head. I was making my dad's business cards like from such a young age, on those crazy computers that make like those big TV screens that made so much noise. And I was making that on Word art. And
Yeah.
you don't think about these things at that age. You
Correct.
just do it.
Yeah.
But you look back and then you realize,
Looking back,
yeah,
what part of your beginning still influenced the way you build today?
I mean, listen, I think hard work is really important, and value and integrity and honesty.
Yeah.
And, that's what has always been instilled in me. And that's how I continue. That is the best lesson of going with the flow and making those, people call them mistakes, their experiences that, okay, that worked and that didn't work. It's just part of the game. You see what works and what doesn't. It's trial and error. Life is trial and error. Business is not just trial and error. Your personal life is trial and error. Everything is.
That give us the best start of the journey, to be honest. Now let's talk about the pressure behind it.
Okay.
Because the second code of
Yeah.
the show is the pressure code. The part people usually don't see behind your
Yeah.
success. Okay, so what was the hardest part of your journey that people did not see from the outside?
I mean, at that age, I feel I didn't have boundaries. I didn't have time management in my life. I was constantly on the go. There was the factories were all over the world. And I was dealing with China and I was on a flight and I was in a factory for 3 months or I'd be back. It was a constant roller coaster and I didn't have that switch off time for myself. And boundaries with certain clients.
How many hours you used to work per day?
How many hours?
Yeah.
Oh God, it was like a non-stop
Non-stop.
situation. Yeah. I'd go to bed late. I'd be up in the middle of the night because of the hour differences. And, there was no, that's what I mean. There was no time management or boundaries
Yeah.
in terms of the times I'm working. Obviously now, obviously I'm based in Dubai and I have clients all over the world. But I manage that. I manage the times that I'm having a session with a client or I'm having a meeting.
Yeah.
Whereas in your 20s, you're not taught anything about that. You don't get taught. You get taught a business subject in school, but you don't get taught how to run a business in school. So you have to learn all of this kind of stuff. And that's where I had my burnout at the age of 29 years old.
Yeah, I saw this after watching your TEDx episode. To be honest, I started to see burnout differently. Can you tell me more about the burnout as a form of pressure?
Burnout, I think when you don't give yourself a little bit of... Okay, we all love what we do, right? That's why we do it. Actually, not all of us love what we do, but when you do something, as much as you love it, you still need to give yourself time.
Yeah,
I didn't do that.
that's it.
I was constant, it's just like a cycle, right? You're just going and you're going and you're living off coffee and you're living off whatever and adrenaline. But I didn't look after my health at the time. And that then affected me because you don't think about your health. You're just chasing and running after the paper. That's all you were doing at that time.
Yeah.
And I think when you don't look after your health, that's when things like are crap. And your body is not great. Physically, mentally, emotionally, you start not enjoying what you're doing either. And you start questioning, is this what my life is? So yeah, I got sick. I decided I didn't enjoy doing the manufacturing side of the business anymore, and I continued to consult. But yeah, I think people don't realize that it is a real thing that happens. And I think now, however many years later, I am probably the healthiest I have ever been.
Amazing.
Because you're mentally, physically, emotionally, you're stronger because you learn from that. And that was over 10 years ago. So when you go through something like that, actually that's an experience that makes you stronger.
Yeah.
And you realize, okay, I don't want to get to that point anymore. What do I need to do? When you're healthier, you're happier. Your glass is full. You're able to give more.
Exactly. And you are more productive.
Yep, 100%.
When you were supplying large clients and scaling fast, what kind of pressure came with that responsibility?
A lot of pressure.
Yeah?
A lot of pressure. When you are manufacturing such large units, it's not just about, the factory's going to make everything perfectly. You've got to be there. You've got to be on the ground, making sure that these samples are right, this order is fulfilled, even if it's like, something. I used to specialize in knitwear. So if a button was like just half an inch, stitched half an inch up further or below, like that would be an issue.
Yeah.
If some thread was completely wrong, that would be an issue. So you weren't just dealing with something like that. You were dealing with the fact that, okay, those goods need to either get on that flight on time or they need to get on that ship and be here in the next 3 months.
Yeah.
And you can't control weather. You can't control certain situations that happen in the world that delay things. So then you don't have the pressure of that. You've got the pressure of it coming into wherever the goods are supposed to come into, but then also dealing with the supplier, the buyer, the client. So the buyer might want the goods by a certain date, and if they're delayed, you're also screwed. Because then either they be like, right, you give me a discount, or I don't want them.
Yeah. Right.
So you're constantly but I think they're not issues. That is something that happened during those days and during that time, and you learn from those things. And I'm a solution. Like I find solutions for things. It's just sometimes there's a higher pressure in certain industries, or I think people deal with pressure in a different way. Does that make sense? And now I'm just like, okay, things are whatever they are.
Yeah, exactly. But after working in this area, you started your own business, right? So what do people misunderstand about the emotional cost of building a business, a profile, and a reputation?
Okay, so building a business is the business is easy. What you need to do is keep grounded. Keep grounded, and don't let outside noise conflict within you, and just stay on the ball with everything. Make sure your finances and admin and all of that kind of stuff are in place. Obviously, after that chapter in my life, I went into looking into human behavior and psychometrics. And this is something I absolutely believe in. Psychometrics is, if you watch my TED Talk, it's a bit like profile type. So it's a disc, and it's all psychological based as well. And we're actually all 4 of them: the dominant, the influencer, the stability, the conscientious. But we have a hierarchy. And the hierarchy could be, some people might be a dominant D, my way or the highway. They are not necessarily admin people.
Yeah.
The I's are definitely not. The I's are the salespeople. The I's like to be like come Adrian, let's go jump on a flight tomorrow. That's the I version. And then you've got the C, who is very statistical based, need to know what happens next. They are the number people. They are technically the accountants, the ones that need to have numbers in place. The S's are the ones that hold everything together.
Yeah.
The supportive people. And I always say, you learn yourself, learn your strengths and learn your weaknesses, because that is going to help you run everything and anything in life. You can't run a business and do the things you hate. You make that the best thing you love, or you give that to someone else. You give that accountability to someone else. But you still have to learn every part of your business. You make your weakness into your strength.
Amazing said, to be honest. What did pressure teach you that success alone never could?
You got to be, you've got to also look at the emotional state of yourself, the mental well-being. It's not, everything is not about business. It's also about your physical health. Are you looking after your physical health, your mental health, your well-being? It's not just constantly go, go, go. If you're grounded, you think clearer. You do things in a better state instead of rushing and making rational and harsh decisions.
I think that pressure teaches us something, but mistakes teach us faster, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's go forward to the next chapter, the third one, the mistake code.
Okay.
So because sometimes the best lessons come from the decisions that did not go as planned. So my question for you is, what mistake taught you the most in business?
Okay. I mean, I don't think anything is a mistake in life, in all honesty. Everything is a learning.
And the journey.
And a journey, but definitely not a mistake. I think it's experiences that we go through.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier that everything is trial and error. There might be something, you know what? I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to risk it. And if it pays off, it pays off. And if it doesn't, it's okay. I'll start again.
Love it.
Yeah. So I think nothing is a mistake. I think obviously if we're talking about business and what I learned from my early 20s when I first started is a business is not just you. A business is a team. And accountability is important. And also, I stand by integrity and honesty and working with the right clients that you want to work with that align with you. And that's, in the last over a decade with the agency, that's exactly what we've done. If clients don't align with our values, we will not work with them. And that's, again, the same with me.
Yeah.
I will not do mentoring or workshops with people I don't feel that are ready or don't align with the same values,
You said about clients. What mistake changed the way you work with clients, teams, or, business partners?
Like I said to you earlier, DISC, psychometrics, everyone I have in my team does a DISC assessment.
Oh.
Every time I am helping people restructure a business, I tell them to use the assessment to make sure they're putting the right people in the right role. You see, in my 20s, when I had the manufacturing business, I had the wrong people in the wrong roles. So one, to scale, you need to make sure you have the right people and that are better than you. You cannot do everything yourself.
What a good lesson.
And not even that. I think also, you're a team. It's not a you situation. It's not a me thing.
Yeah. I think you realize that the talent is not enough without strategy.
Yeah.
Is not enough with systems.
Yeah. And not only that, I understand when people start a business or they are like, oh my God, I need more clients. I need income coming in. And I know, but you can't just take people on because of that struggle, because they might not be the right clients and they might cause more challenges and issues than they're supposed to.
What did failure teach you about leadership?
I don't think I ever failed. I think I learned from lessons and what's worked and what's not.
Yeah.
In terms of leadership is at the end of the day, you're the one that has to hold the team together. They are your responsibility.
Yeah.
And again, the value and the honesty, they are part of your family.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's important, you know, if you're going to lead people, you have to make sure that they are getting the best out of it and they are moving forward.
Yeah.
That, and you know, I believe, Adrian, everyone deserves whatever they want in this life. Everybody. It's not like, oh, I want to do better than that person. Everyone deserves a better life for themselves. Your health is on 100%. Okay, no one's is 100%, but you know, almost.
Yeah. This is the most important thing.
Come
and
on.
If you have health, you can do anything.
And mindset.
Yeah.
You know, if you're gonna be surrounding yourself with people that are negative or don't have that belief or have, you know, a positive mindset, you're gonna not be, you know, thinking in the same way.
Yeah, I remember that one time, one friend told to another friend, "Hey, what's happened to you? Hey, I have a lot of problems. You know, I have a problem with my admin. I have a problem in the company with a lot of employers." And the other friend said that, "Man, you don't have problems. Go in a hospital and you will have only one problem." So
you know, we all have choices in this life.
Exactly.
And we all have the choice to not go round in the same cycle. We all have the choice to be whatever we want to be. You know, you hear people like, "Oh, but you're so lucky," or "You've done this," or whatever. You have the choice too.
Correct.
If they're like, "Yeah, but I can't because I have to have a job and I have to do this." Okay, find a way. There's always a solution. There is always a solution to something. Even if you got to take a second job and work freaking hard, but be smart.
Like I said, sometimes mistakes have a cost, sometimes emotional, sometimes financial.
Yeah.
So let's go to the next code, the money code.
Yeah.
Not to talk about money for attention, but to understand what business really goes behind the scenes. So what did money teach you about business that creativity alone could not?
I think I had a very good experience from running the global manufacturing business because I was dealing with different currencies. So I was dealing with currency agencies at the time. I was dealing with massive orders. So I think, you know, learning for me was incredible because spreadsheets were my best friend back then, like 20 years ago, you know. And I, you know, even now when I'm working with certain clients and I realize you guys don't even have spreadsheets. Where is the spreadsheets to say how much you're getting this for, how much you're selling this for, how much profit are you making? Where is this all written?
Yeah.
You know, you need to have all of this, and you'll be surprised. Even like the most amazing business people, like some that I'm working with at the moment, they don't have this because everything's in their head. I'm like, get it out your head and have it there in front of you.
When you were supplying over 1 million units, what did that level of scale teach you about money, responsibility, and risk?
Yeah, there was a lot of responsibility because I was dealing with a factory, and I was dealing with like the fact that, okay, their workers need to get paid. My client, you know, there's a massive involvement of finances involved there. And then you've got to wait for the payout, you know?
Yeah.
So it was a massive responsibility at the time, but it is what it is. It's exciting too, you know? Money is not a bad thing. Money is energy.
So at just 22 years old, when you were already supplying major brands, what did that level of business teach you about money? At that age, at 22? They teach you about the responsibility maybe?
Well, I realized when I had my burnout at 29 years old that your health is more important than money.
Exactly.
So it's you know, but it's great to have money. It's great because money is an enabler. It enables you to do whatever you want for the good if that's how you're going to use it.
Now let's move to the advice code,
Okay.
where your experience becomes really useful for the people watching. What would you tell someone who has a creative vision but does not yet have clarity, structure, or visibility?
Learn yourself, learn what your strengths are, learn what your weaknesses are. Then it's like if someone is building their own personal brand, their profile, or their business, really align with yourself and be authentic. Don't try and be someone else because, they're doing really well. Let me kind of follow and see what they're doing. Be true to yourself and get a strategy in. I've had the most amazing mentors in my life to fast track things.
What is the difference between being visible and being truly respected?
Visibility is there. There's a difference between visibility and being respected. Respected shares and probably shows credibility. And I think when you can merge those two together, that's where the magic happens. Because visibility is needed, but so is making sure that you're respected at the same time. And some of the most incredible, respected, credible individuals don't like being visible. Staying behind their scenes, making the money, doing their thing. Why do I need to be visible? Why does anyone need to know who I am? But times have changed.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the last one, the success code and the principle behind this journey. So, our main question is, what's your code behind the success? So, what's your code?
Success is very different to every single person. Like, success might mean something completely different to you. Success for me might be like something else. Someone else is financial. Someone else it's visibility, being seen. For me, it's peace and freedom, like going to bed knowing like, okay, I've done great. So that word, I'm not sure how to describe, but I think at the end of the day, I think you have to be content with where you're at in life. Are you doing everything that you want to do for you?
Yeah.
This life is short, and success is, if that's sitting at home, reading a book, or in your garden, like it is what it is to everyone, I think just know what you want to achieve in this life and work towards that. I'm working with the most amazing clients. I get to speak in front of amazing individuals and audiences. That for me is so rewarding. I always say that God doesn't put people in your life to give you these experiences for you to keep. It's for you to share back into this world.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your lessons, everything about what you shared, your story, and also your success code, because you are at code behind success.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Did you like?
I did. Thank you for having me on, Adrian.
This was Code Behind Success, the very first episode. Not a traditional interview, but a decode of what's hits behind the journey. The beginning, the pressure, the mistakes, the money, the advice, and the final success code. What I take from this conversation is that visibility is not enough without clarity. Reputation is built before the spotlight, and success is not only about being seen, it is about being trusted, prepared, and respected. Thank you to everyone watching, and don't forget, don't just admire success, decode it.